Okay, so Twitter is freaking out because Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said this.
Well, the concern is misplaced because if you look at the statistics, African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
So naturally, Twitter is freaking out because they're like, is he saying that black people aren't Americans? Which is a weird take considering he said African Americans.
He literally said Americans.
Like, he said the word Americans after African. It's... I keep trying to record this and I keep laughing every time because I just keep getting on Twitter and seeing how angry everyone is. I think it's obvious that the man misspoke because he's like 79. Do you remember when Joe Biden said this?
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And for whatever reason, like, nobody cares about that. Like, but this Mitch McConnell thing, it's breaking news. Oh yeah, Biden also said this.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
So I know this is like textbook whataboutism, I guess, but it's not even really about whataboutism. I'm not trying to discredit one thing over the other, but I think when it comes to the Mitch McConnell thing, African Americans vote just as much as Americans or whatever. I think it's very clear the point that he's trying to make. He's like, they're not voting any less than anybody else. So I just
don't understand what's so funny, bro.
If we're like truly breaking it down and we're being honest about it, I think that what he's saying is like generally a good thing. He's like, no, black people aren't being stopped from voting. I thought that's what we wanted. I thought everything's fine. My mind's just blown at the fact that like let's just talk about the question. Like, do you know what Mitch McConnell was asked to even give that response? Somebody asked, a reporter, like a real reporter, asked this question.
What's your message for voters of color who are concerned that without the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act, they're not going to be able to vote in the midterm?
Since when were black people concerned about not being able to vote in the midterm? I feel like if there was a law specifically keeping black people from voting, like I feel like I would have heard about it. I feel like I would have got an email or something. I don't know. I just feel like... I just feel like I would be having that conversation by now. One of the most astounding things about this is
what?
I wish somebody besides the former president had coined the phrase fake news, because news actually is breaking today about this very story that is literally not true. I'm going to read you a couple of headlines where the headline says, black people vote at similar rates to Americans, according to Mitch McConnell. He literally didn't say that. He said African Americans, but they are purposely changing the headline to black people so that black people on Twitter or whatever social media site and a whole bunch of people that are filled with white guilt will share this and say, he said black people aren't voting as much as Americans. He literally said, I'm going to play it for you again, actually.
African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
He literally said African American voters. So he is acknowledging that African American, which means black, he's saying African Americans are voting just as much as Americans. Are you telling me the difference between being a racist and not being a racist is his saying as much as any other American instead of saying as much as Americans? Like it's that close. He said African Americans. I just want to drive this point home so that when I start reading you these tweets from people, you understand just how ridiculous the outrage is. This man said African Americans are voting just as much as Americans. Apparently that's racist. But if he would have said African Americans are voting just as much as any other Americans, that would have been perfectly fine because that sentence just makes more sense. Now, I'm going to read you some of these tweets from people, and you're going to think that this man straight up came out here and said, these Negroes can't vote. All right, listen to these tweets. Renee Hoffman on Twitter says,
Mitch McConnell was a racist. He's always been a racist. He's just not hiding it anymore. I think his election was the one that was fraudulent. I don't believe he really won.
Someone whose Twitter name is a black woman, The End, says,
Dear Mitch McConnell, I am a black woman. I was born in America. I vote in America. I pay taxes in America. I'll die in America. I am an American. Go fuck yourself, you racist piece of...
Representative Diane DeGata says,
This is disgusting. To defend his stance against voting rights, Mitch McConnell is citing statistics that African-American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans. African-American voters are Americans, and to suggest otherwise is about as racist as it gets.
Another Twitter user says,
Totally weird that Mitch McConnell thinks I'm from Africa when my family has been in America longer than his.
When did Mitch McConnell say that he thinks you're from Africa?
The fact that more media attention will be paid to how long Joe Biden's press conference was than Mitch McConnell's insanely racist comments yesterday is everything that is wrong with the state of things and will lead to horrible problems during midterms and in 2024.
Okay,
Take your time, dog.
I just feel like when we're talking about quote unquote incredibly racist comments, I just feel like Joe Biden telling people that they're not black, like you're straight up not black if you don't know whether to vote for him or the other old white guy. I just feel like that's more problematic and more indicative of like a widespread problem when it comes to conversations about race and voting. But whatever, let's just move on. Actually, one of my favorite things that comes out of situations like this is the overuse of the words or phrase white supremacy, because somehow every single thing this man is literally talking about African Americans being able to vote. He's like opposing this voting rights bill because he's like, no, everything is fine. I think they're voting plenty enough. And somehow that is like the last straw for a lot of people in proving that Mitch McConnell is undoubtedly an open, blatant white supremacist. Here's some more fun tweets.
Mitch McConnell is a white supremacy demon. I don't usually focus on hashtags and trends, but I was so profoundly sickened by Leader McConnell. Leader of what? Racist in Congress? That I got on board. So many beautiful pictures being posted was actually uplifting. Hey, Mitch, there is no strength in white supremacy. Hashtag Mitch, please. Oops, your white supremacy is showing at Leader McConnell. Hashtag Vote Blue in 2022.
Thank you, Mitch McConnell, for admitting Republic KK clans are the party of white supremacy. When he slip up the African Americans are voting at the same rate of American, thanks for making my point of GOP, the party of white supremacists. Just what is it that makes Mitch McConnell think at all? I'd say white supremacy plays a great big part. Wifey gets a pass because she came with quite the sizable. Yeah, we know you support the Leader McConnell white supremacy definition of Americans and subsequent agenda, but we prefer POTUS definition, which includes all people.
All of these beautiful I am an American tweets, they make my heart swell. My fellow countrymen and women, my neighbors, my community, Mitch McConnell showed his true colors, white supremacy. Leader McConnell is the Senate leader of White Supremacy Caucus. White supremacy has always been Moscow, Mitch McConnell's history. And the photo, oh, him happily smiling in front of a giant Confederate flag is all the proof we need that him and not considering African American voters to be Americans. I despise his racist, treasonous, corrupt ad.
Wait.
Oh, him happily smiling in front of a giant Confederate flag is all the proof you need.
Did Mitch McConnell pose in front of a picture of the Confederate flag? Hold on, let me look this up.
So it has been about 25 minutes since I recorded the last bit of this podcast, and after reading about 6 or 7 articles, this man really posed for a picture in front of the Confederate flag. Huh.
Look, I am a God-fearing man, okay? I believe in Jesus, and Jesus forgives. I believe in change, even. You know, I've watched a lot of movies growing up. Black people and white people didn't get along, and then they end up getting along. And look, I'm not here to say
really on a Mitch McConnell apology tour.
that Mitch McConnell posing in front of a Confederate flag like 30 years ago automatically makes him a racist.
Of course it automatically makes him a racist, bro. If you're in front of a Confederate flag, that means you pro-slavery, bro. Of course he's a white supremacist.
I understand why people aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt, knowing that information. Now, I personally believe, like, as a rational, competent, nuanced human being, that when I listen to that clip of him talking about African Americans voting just as much as Americans, I understand how it sounds, but I truly think in that instance, with that tone, with that audience, understanding the day and age that we're in, I don't think that was Mitch McConnell's racist coming out party. I just don't believe that. And I think that it is just ludicrous and hypocritical to blow this story up and pretend that it is more damaging and harmful and offensive to black people than all the crazy shit that Joe Biden's been saying for the past couple of years.
And you ain't black.
I really want to go into this whole voting rights, voting law thing, and I think it deserves a whole episode. I really wanted to just discuss the phenomenon of this incident that happened yesterday, where Mitch McConnell made the statement that he did. Everybody on Twitter is freaking out saying, proof. Oh, breaking news, Republicans are racist. Oh my God, white supremacy. Oh my God, it's proof, it's proof, it's proof. See, he thinks black people aren't even Americans. And all these, oh, I almost forgot. I promised earlier that I was going to read you some headlines of people sharing fake news. Give me 1 second.
Oh my God. When he says give me 1 second, it means that I have to go find the articles.
So Yahoo.com has an article that says Mitch McConnell says black people vote just as much as Americans. He literally didn't say that. He said African Americans. TheDailyBeast.com. Mitch McConnell says black people vote just as much as Americans. That's not what he said. He said African Americans. SeattleTimes.com. McConnell, black people vote at similar rates to Americans. That's literally not what he said. He said African Americans. MSN.com. Mitch McConnell said black people show up to vote just as much as Americans. I played the clip for you. He said African Americans. I swear, like that really happened. USAtoday.com. Mitch McConnell says black people vote just as much as Americans.
I think I see the pattern.
Okay. Here's the point that I want to drive home today. I know I've been absolutely all over the place. Mitch McConnell might be a racist.
No way!
I think that in this instant, he wasn't necessarily trying to be racist. The point that I am trying to drive home is
African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
all these articles that I'm looking at keep saying that he said black people vote just as much as Americans. It's almost as if all these media outlets have a similar agenda and they want to push this very specific narrative. And the narrative is that Mitch McConnell said black people are not Americans, purposely omitting from the headline that he said African Americans. So this is not a podcast episode dedicated to defending Mitch McConnell or Republicans or the GOP.
We can't tell.
I don't care. I will never vote for any of these people. It means nothing to me. Mitch McConnell is just another 80-year-old white dude. My problem is that Democrats and Republicans, man, I can't stomach it. Mitch is out here posing with the flag. Joe Biden is telling me that I ain't really black. Democrats are saying I can't vote. Didn't y'all just win by like 8 milli? Now you got majority of the House and the Senate? When is it enough? 3 points I really want to drive home. 1, Twitter is not a real place. I know it's fun to clown on people being outraged over this Mitch McConnell thing. Upon further review, yeah, I'm leaning he's probably a little racist, but like, so is Joe Biden.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And like a bunch of other old white people that are politicians. So I don't know. It just bothers me that Twitter doesn't keep the same energy when Democrats say wild stuff. But I repeat, Twitter is not real. Number 2, I was under the impression that the worst thing the last president did was compromise the integrity of elections. So now that the Biden administration / media is telling black people that they can't vote and Republicans don't want them to or whatever, I have this theory, and I don't even think it's that much of a theory. I think Democrats actually think that like most human beings in the United States are complete and total idiots and will just believe whatever they're saying about what the other party is doing. And if you only looked at tweets, you would think that they were right. Like there are actually human beings that exist in the United States of America that think that Republicans have passed some law that is going to keep them from voting because they're black. Like I don't understand how you convince people of that, but it's true. It's real. Just look it up. I think, I don't know. It's just very strange. And like, I'm always afraid to talk about this stuff. Well, not afraid, but I just feel like people are going to misconstrue what I'm saying. Like what I'm saying often, I feel like it comes off as if like I'm team Republican or something. And like, I just don't care about any of those people. Like they suck. The point that I'm trying to drive home is just that I'm just a fan of the truth. I just don't like people lying about things. I don't like people convincing other people to hate other people. There always has to be a bad guy, something, divisiveness, love is greater than hate, whatever.
Democrats trying to trigger black people and white people that feel bad about like what happened to black people like last century. Like they're just trying to trigger people into continuing to vote for them by reminding you every single day that all Republicans are evil and racist and hate black people. And I just find it very disingenuous and race-baiting garbage, and it's disgusting. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Sorry.
My last thing on that is Trump says they're stealing it, and that's the worst thing ever. Biden says they're stealing it, and now he's like Martin Luther King, and we have to pass whatever he wants, or it's Jim Crow. Like, that's all I'm saying. I just want somebody to make it make sense. Last thing I'm going to say before I go today.
What?
I'm ready to see you.
What?
I miss you.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I can't do this alone. I'm driving myself crazy. Like, I love doing this podcast. I'm having a great time. But I love people. I love talking to people. If you'd like to come on and discuss any of these things with me, because these are like really deep, complex things, and I love to talk them out with another person instead of just myself and editor Derek or whoever.
Yeah, it's getting weird.
I stopped inviting people on, and I stopped inviting people over for a little bit because of, you know, the new Megatron variant or whatever. But I'm over it. Let's just kick it. Whatever. I love you. I mean it. I'll see you on Monday. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily uploads and have some music or whatever.
$400 in my bank account. Buddy, I'm not bothered if you don't think it's a great amount. I've been working like a dog, so I'ma make each dollar count. Now we'll stay locked in this room like it's okay, I'm calling out. Who's he calling out? I'm the greatest, I don't care, it's all relative. Hit me on the snap, call me bro, we not relatives. Ops got these bars that got me snoozing, it's a sedative. And if you sleeping on me like you're Biden, we'll buy them. Over your head like it's Delta, not the variant. I'm a king, where's my chariot? And who carries it?
Why my back hurt, man? I'm 25.
I'm getting older, getting tight. My hand to God is do or die. There's not a chance I'm too alive. I'm Willow Smith, I caught a vibe. You jaded, I'm like Jade, man. I love my dad.
I'm not that guy.
Struggle with the suit and tie, but I'm on a different grind. Got the same genes, but we grew up different, you and I. My potential is a ton. I'm the chosen, you a bum. You got heat, I am the sun. You the joke, I got the punch line. Doing this one night like tomorrow is my deadline. If this was a true fight, my victory's the headline. I'm shining like a headlight. You brain dead and got headlights. I'm head and shoulders above you. No need to boost my head size. Don't look back, you read right. Not everything I said's nice. It's season 3 of Therapy, so get your head right.
Rate me 5 stars.
But I'm back on my bullshit. I be in my bag like I opened up the toolkit. You were just a student. I am rap game Yoda, cooler than a soda. I am making art here. You play with Crayola. There is nothing stopping me. Old school Toyota. Y'all make me laugh. You a trip. Well, that's fine, cause I'm packing light. With these bars, I'm packing heavy.